So we were talking about boss battles in Alienation, and you talked about how there were mini bosses and stuff. Dom, you actually want to talk about bosses in general, right? What are your like boss fights? I guess. What did you have for us?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll let you guys take creative freedom with this and go whichever way you want to go. Maybe you want to give a quick spiel about how you don't like boss battles in general, or you do, or whatever it is. But me myself, I want to rattle off a couple bosses that were particularly memorable. Um,
Memorable.
all right,
Memento.
Saying that word was a pretty tough boss. I'll give you that.
and I'm gonna quit after trying three times. Anyway, so yeah, so I just want to rattle off a couple of memorable boss battles, just from whatever the games might be. So to me, a lot of these come from Dark Souls, just because holy crap, the bosses in Dark Souls are
The first game or the series?
the series in general.
Okay, so I might not know a couple of them, but I'll see if I remember him.
Well, actually, they're both from the first game anyway. So if you remember,
Please say Ornstein and Smough.
yep, exactly.
Yes, Ornstein and Smough. Those guys are incredible.
Oh, they were brutal. I didn't have as much trouble as some people, but like that moment when you finally kill one of them and then the other one gets more powerful as a result of it is just like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
So real quick,
Like,
Jordan, you haven't played the first Dark Souls, right?
Right.
So you walk into this. I don't remember if it's a cathedral. It's just like an air, like a little room, right? It has pillars in it. I think it's like 6 or 8
it's a
pillars on
large
each side
room.
of the room. Yeah, it's a pretty big room. Ornstein and Smough are these two guys. One's a very heavy dude with a giant ass hammer that moves faster than you would anticipate somebody like that, but slow in comparison to a lot of the other bosses. And he's powerful, right? Really powerful. The other guy is this quick guy with range. His thing is range, and he's electrical damage, right? Is he electrical damage, Dom?
Yeah, he's like a dragon
and
hunter.
you fight them at the same
Yeah.
time. So there's these two guys, this large guy walking around lumbersome trying to hit you, and this very quick guy, and you're trying to basically manage your stamina, because that's one of the biggest things about Dark Souls. So you're trying to have to roll around past this quick guy while still trying to engage with them, as this lumbersome big guy's coming at you too. It's one of the toughest boss fights I've had in a game, because you're managing two different bosses, and unlike the Abyss Walkers in Dark Souls 3, where they're kind of the same speed and they're all the same kind of enemy, this is two completely different dudes that you're trying to handle at the same time. So it's super difficult, I think. It's one of the most difficult boss fights I've had in a game. Hands down.
Seath the Scaleless. This guy was a bastard.
Was he
Um,
the... let's go ahead, sorry. I'm trying to remember which one
Yeah,
it was.
he was the big giant blue crystal dragon thing. Um, the the first time you fight him, you can't win. It's one of those planned losses or whatever.
You die no matter what, yeah.
Exactly. Then you come back and you have to destroy this thing in the back of the room before you can even do damage to him. And you only figure that out through talking to like an NPC or something really cryptic, right? So you could have, like me, potentially tried the boss fight 6 times, not even knowing how
Jeez.
to damage. You know what I mean?
Well,
One,
and
that's the Dark Souls things.
forgive
Right?
me if I'm saying this wrong, but Jordan, his big thing is he's a crystal lizard, right? And he summons these crystals
Naturally.
underneath you. All of them pop up around you, and if you get hit by one, you'll fall, get hit by the other, and it's just a combination of damage that you die like almost instantaneously, right?
And on top of that, if those crystals in particular do enough damage to you, you'll get cursed. Then you lose half your health bar, even going forward after you die.
Yep.
You only have half your health bar available. And to remedy it, you have to find like I can't remember exactly, a particular kind of potion or something that's pretty hard
So
to
it
get.
it takes away half
Damn.
of your health bar for the rest of the game until you're able to get the antidote.
Right, exactly.
Brutal.
But so what? Yeah, he was the toughest one for me. It took the most tries, definitely. But when I did finally beat him, it resulted in one of the other cool thing about boss battles from Dark Souls was if you attack the boss's tail enough times, you can cut their tail off, and then it always turns into a weapon that you collect.
Yep.
Um,
Like we were talking
once
about
you
the
beat
dragon.
them.
Remember we were talking about the dragon, Jordan, and he said don't do the dragon thing because it
Yeah.
makes the game a lot easier. Yeah, that's a very big thing going with Dark Souls. Of like the tails, you can get the tails.
Right.
The boss on the roof that you fight, the two-headed thing that breathes fire. If you cut off his tail, you get the griffin sword or some BS, right?
Yeah, and they're always some of the coolest weapons too, are the boss tails. And his was like the Moonlight Great Sword or Great Axe or something really, some magical crystal sword. It's like it's just another piece. Like, not only did I beat you, but I cut your tail off, and I get this memento as a result. That I earned from beating. I don't know. I just really loved that part of Dark Souls. So A couple other bosses I just want to mention really quick as honorable mentionees, I guess. The Big Daddies from BioShock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those things were really cool. The robot and Portal. I can't remember what they called it.
GLaDOS?
GLaDOS, yeah. That thing was humorous. And the battles were at least somewhat creative. Actually, I also wanted to bring up in Zelda Oracle of Seasons and Ages, at the very end, after you beat the actual games, if you do the whole deal where you beat one and then use the code you get from beating one to play the other, you get this ability to unlock these secret bosses at the very end of each game.
Oh, cool.
And they end up being like Twin Rova and Ganondorf. So they were huge nods back to like Ocarina of Time and the older Zelda games, right? Completely optional and hidden at the end of the game. So I remember when I finally figured that out as a little kid, like it was the coolest thing ever because I thought I had beaten the game. Then, one of my friends or however it is I find out tells me this. I'm like, whoa, what do you mean there's more, right? So that was really cool.
So going off of your boss talk, I want to say something real quick and then I'll give my little explanation. So for me, boss fights are a critical and fundamental part of video games. They don't necessarily need to be in every video game, but they are a staple. First video game I ever played was Mario. Bowser, boss, or King Koopa, rather. So, like, bosses are a fundamental part of video games. I think they're an important part in different styles of video games. I think when people think about video games, somebody who's not very much a gamer, they think of you playing as a character through a game to get to a boss, right? It's kind of the typical set idea of a video game. For me, I would say that one of my most memorable boss moments is playing Super Mario 64 and the final boss battle because it was super disappointing, super easy. Whole game's really fun, and then you get to the end and you have to toss him 3 times into the wall and he's dead. Really simple. Kind of disappointing. And shout out to Tinker Knight in Shovel Knight, which is one of my favorite games. Neither of you guys have played Shovel Knight, right?
Nope.
No, I have.
You have? Okay, so Tinker Knight, Dom, it's a Mega Man style game where every level has a boss at the end of it, right? Different mechanics, different kind of theme. Tinker Knight is a mechanic that works on robots. Very tiny. I think he's one of the smallest sprites in the game as far as a character. You hit him, he starts crying, running back and forth across the screen as you bounce on his head with your shovel. When he hits a certain health threshold, or when you kill him actually the first time, he jumps in this giant robot that takes up almost the entire screen, and you have to kill him. So it's really funny. He throws wrenches around and cries the first part of the battle, and then the second half, he's in this giant robot. He's a really funny character. He's probably my favorite knight in Shovel Knight. So yeah, I think bosses are an important part of video games. When you think about some of the most famous characters, Bowser, Ganondorf, like they're bosses, they're villains, but they're bosses. Dr. Robotnik, Mr. Egg. So I think bosses are super important, and I love them. They're some of my favorite parts of video games, period. Especially with like the Nemesis system in Lord of the Rings. I think Shadow of Mordor, if they don't necessarily need to copy and paste that, but that whole thing of like, plenty of games you see a boss the first time and you see him multiple times in the game. I think the Nemesis system adds an extra layer to that makes it more immersive. So boss battles to me are vital. What about you, Jordan? What do you think about this whole boss battle thing?
It's tough for me to think of like just my favorites off the top of my head. So I think I'm just going to shout out some ones that I like. I guess I'll say Vicar Amelia. I'm specifically going to shout out MGS3 Snake Eaters bosses because they were just so unique.
Alrighty, so this was a good episode. We talked about video game franchises that need to stop being around and other ones that need to come around more often. We talked about Alienation, the impressions. Thanks to Sony again for sending us over a review code. Much appreciated. We talked about boss fights and how important they are, how annoying Ornstein and Smough were, and every other boss in Dark Souls, because why not? Just to let you guys know, we still are having the 50 follower giveaway of the Star Wars Blu-ray. We're at about 42-ish followers, Dom, you would say? Somewhere around there?
Yeah, something like that.
So definitely, if you're listening to this, go follow us on Twitter. Even if you don't use Twitter, sign up and follow us, and you'll be entered in for we'll figure out a way to actually, when we get to 50, we'll give it away, probably through YouTube comments or something like that, or retweeting a certain tweet. Follow us on iTunes. Leave us a review if you can. Those really help. If you listen to it on iTunes, you should go to our YouTube and leave us a comment letting us know you listened to it on iTunes because it's really interesting. You can't really find out your numbers on iTunes. Listen to us on SoundCloud. I'm going to be tooling around with the new Google podcast system. We're on SoundCloud as always, like I said. YouTube videos go up throughout the week, Monday through Friday. The whole video is posted on Friday, and the parts and individual parts Monday through Thursday. If you want to share us, that'd definitely be great. The more ears we get to, the better the show becomes. And we just appreciate you guys listening week in, week out. We're growing slowly, but we do appreciate it. And so before we head out of here, boys, what are we going to be playing? Real quick for me, going to be getting to Sunset Overdrive and playing some more Pokemon. And that's pretty much it. What about you guys?
I want to finish up Ratchet and Clank for sure in the next few days here. And otherwise, I'm just going to dive right back in headfirst to Dark Souls 3. So
awesome. Any closing words? Jordan, Dom?
Praise the sun.
Alrighty, guys. Catch you guys in episode 10. Bye.
Thanks again, everyone, for watching and or listening. If you like what you heard, be sure to give those like and subscribe buttons a quick click. Every little contribution can help to make our channel grow. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at CTRLINT. That's Controlled Interest. See you later.